And by then, the story was already several years old. And I wrote the song because I was still so, I told all my friends about him. You know, I was in the car with my friend Raina Rose, and I was like, did I ever tell you about that kid I met on the plane from Chicago? And she was like, yes, you've told me about the kid. Did I tell you we worked at Chi-Chi's? Yes, you told me we worked at Chi-Chi's. And then she said, you know, Becca, you should really write a song about that. And I was like, oh no, I couldn't. You know, it felt too precious, like too close to my heart in a way, which is funny because songs is how I process things that are close to my heart, but that just felt a little too close, and I didn't think I could do it. And then suddenly, the next time I had a quiet moment, the chorus just popped into my head, and then I spent about 2 years, I think, working on the song till I got it the way I wanted it, and then I put it on that record. So it's been a while now since I met him. And when we met, he was an 18-year-old waiter at Chi-Chi's. He didn't have like a business card. And I gave him my card. I gave him a postcard. I gave him stickers. I gave him a CD. I might have come on a little strong. Again, it was his wedding day. He had other things on his mind besides the crazy lady next to him on the plane. So I have no idea if he ever even looked it up, and I wouldn't blame him if he didn't. But yeah, whenever I'm in Chicago, I always tell that story at shows. I'm like, does this sound familiar? This is another newer tune, new for me. I wrote it last spring when I was on the Blink release tour. And I was traveling with a friend of mine named Luke Jackson. He's a very talented young songwriter from the UK. And he came over and opened 2 weeks of shows for me on the East Coast, and I went over to the UK and opened 2 weeks of shows for him in May. Yeah, it was a nice little exchange, but we made a deal on the first day of the tour that I would do all the driving in the US and he would do all the driving in the UK. And that way neither of us had to switch sides of the road, and I didn't have to learn to operate a stick shift with my left hand. Which I still do feel good about, but I will say if you've ever looked at a map, you know that I definitely got the raw end of that deal. I'm pretty sure that on the first day of the tour, when we drove from Kansas City to Nashville, which is the 550 miles, that I did more driving than he did on the entire tour of the UK. So by about day 10 of the trip, I was starting to get a little fatigued with driving. You know, I'd driven thousands and thousands of miles. And but I was really determined that on our one day off, I wanted Luke to see New York City, because he had never been to the U.S. before. And it was something that seemed really special and sweet, was showing a young person our country for the first time. And just sort of watching him connect the dots, you know. We did make it to New York, and at dinner, he said, you know, in his cute little Oxford accent, which I won't imitate, but he was like, you know, America's massive. I said, I know. And he said, I had heard it was big, but I didn't realize how big. And I said, I know. And he said, you know, you can't even really compare America to any one country in Europe. And I said, I know. And he said, because if something bad happens down in Italy, like God forbid, if there's a disaster or a shooting or something, like I feel bad for them down there, I really do, but it doesn't affect my national identity as an Englishman. But if you're in Idaho and something horrible happens in Florida, like you're all kind of in this together. And I said, I know. And it was just that kind of thing, that kind of cultural exchange, hosting him in America and showing it to him really meant a lot to me. So I was determined to get us to New York, but it meant I had to do some sort of heroic and stupid feats of driving. We had a gig on a Monday night in Richmond, and Tuesday was our day off, but I wanted to be in New York City. So I figured we could get a good chunk of the day in New York if we drove from Richmond to DC after the show, slept a few hours in DC, and woke up in the morning and drove the rest of the way to New York. So it seemed like it all seemed well and good when we were leaving the show at 11 o'clock, and we were all like jazzed up on adrenaline and approval. We were feeling good. And we load up the car and we start driving. I drink half a cup of coffee. I'm feeling good. But about half an hour in, the white lines on the road start looking a little wavy, you know? And I keep thinking I see deer, like the eyes of deer poking out from the dark. And I'm like, this is not good. So I asked Luke to get the guitar out of the back seat. I don't know why. I was just like, how about you get that out and sing to me? Like, entertain me, boy. And he pulls the guitar to the front seat and he's like, what should we do? I was like, I don't know. Let's try writing a song. And he starts noodling around, and I start singing a bit, and he starts singing a bit, and next thing you know, we wrote the song, and we had it done by the time we got to DC. So this is a tune that we wrote hurtling down the highway at a very sensible speed. I-95 north, in between Richmond and DC, right around midnight. It's about going home. I've been waiting for hours now on my homebound train. Got a cold cup of coffee and a lot to explain. Lake Louise, Lake Louise. I was hungry and reckless. I was young and naive. I was seeking attention. You asked for nothing of me. Lake Louise, Lake Louise. Can I walk on your water? Can I sleep on your shore? Am I safe in your harbor anymore? Old man by the window, wearing moth-eaten tweed, sheds a tear in the shadow. I think I know what he needs. Lake Louise, Lake Can I walk on your water? Can I sleep on your shore? Am I safe in your harbor anymore? Lake Louise, Lake Louise, Lake Louise, Lake Louise. I've been riding for hours now on my homebound train, waiting, waiting, waiting till they call out your name. I don't know if you guys have had any moments like this afternoon, but as I was finishing that song and really enjoying the moment of connecting with you guys and performing for you guys, I thought, holy shit, I'm in somebody's living room. It really feels like a small theater in here. They have stage lighting in their living room, you guys.